I'm Corbett Wall with DVAuction, here with your feeder flash for Friday, September the 29th, brought to you in part by Toromox by Norbrook. Toromox is the moxie with the moxie. Use Toromox to treat and control gastrointestinal roundworms, lungworms, cattle grubs, mites, and lice. What's for breakfast? And Toromox is proven to effectively protect cattle from reinfection of key internal parasites. For more information, go to norbrook.com. Middleweights and Punchy Pick of the Month winners on this edition of the Feeder Flash, and talk to you about middleweights, and a lot of people aren't used to hearing that very often, but you got your different weight classifications. As far as I'm concerned, you got your peewees, which are your calves weighing under 450 pounds, and then lightweights from 450 up to 600 pounds, and then of course heavyweight cattle, those used to be over 800 pounds. It seems like 800 pounds isn't anything anymore, and now it's maybe over 900 or even 950. But what about your middleweights, the 6 and 7 weight cattle? Well, for the most part, especially for winter forage, most people don't turn stocker cattle out weighing that heavy. So most of them are going to go to feed. And of all the classes of cattle, and nearly all of them are near record highs, your middleweight cattle might be the hottest right now. And I think they're going to continue to get hotter, and by hot I mean most demanded. But and there's a lot of them to come, guys. But you're going to have them 60 days weaned, and have some quality to them. At least one round of shots, preferably 2 rounds in them, and then you're going to see farmer feeder demand come in, and there's no telling what they might bring. Farmer feeders, every day we have a few more of these farmers getting done with harvesting. We're getting up to about a quarter of the corn crop done, and every day we get a few more that are done in the southern parts of the Corn Belt. And a lot of those guys will feed cattle. They will especially feed cattle this year because corn is turned off relatively cheap, and cattle are selling so well. And plus, it's just kind of a way that they can do something and have a little bit of an edge there, because especially that last truckload that comes in from the field, and a lot of them have on-farm storage. Nobody really knows how much of that corn there is, and farmers are one of the last ones to pay the government money to piss away. They would just as soon spend it on their own, or use some of it to try to make some more money, as to give it to Mr. Magoo and let him send it to the Ukraine for those guys to shoot in the air. But we see these 6 and 7 weight cattle really starting to sell well, and kind of in the ranges they are leaving the other cattle behind. And with cheap corn, especially if you have some damaged corn or something like that, that's very inexpensive or not worth a whole lot, you can cheapen those cattle up in a hurry. If you've got some silage, you can kind of slow feed those cattle and not get them too fleshy, but grow them, put some weight on them. That's another good way to do it. But a lot of people are going to be coming into the market for cattle like that. But you can't bring a big, fat, greasy 650-pound bawling steer to town. They don't want them. Your farmer feeders don't have hospital pens, and they're not set up to straighten cattle up. They don't want to straighten cattle up. They want to put weight on cattle. And most of them have learned that they've just got to let their order buyer buy them something that they don't have to worry about, something that's foolproof. Sure, they'll run them through and give them their shots and everything, but they don't want to have to doctor on them and babysit them and worry about them and all that kind of thing. And you're not going to get most farmer feeders to come in and do that. But your middleweight cattle are really hot right now, and and it's an awfully good time to have those weights, but you got to have them right. It's been dry in central Missouri. It's really dry through most of the summer. They did get some late summer rain there, but not really enough, and it wasn't enough to help the pastures. We got a lot of producers that are still culling cows. They've got a special cow sale coming up here this coming Thursday, October the 5th at 6 o'clock in the evening at Callaway Livestock Center in Kingdom City, Missouri. Jack Harrison has monthly cow specials there. He's trying to get these advertised up to find a new home for these top quality cows. He's going to have 1,000 cows, probably have more than that by the time the sale comes. But he's featuring, he'll have at least 300 fall pairs there, 300 fall bred cows, and 300 spring calving cows. Like I said, the quality is outstanding. Be a lot of people that are dispersing everything, getting completely out. Hate to see that. Hopefully we'll see some new blood get in and buy some of these cows and continue on. So don't forget that special bred cow sale, Callaway Livestock Center, Kingdom City, Missouri, this Thursday the 5th at 6 o'clock p.m. Also, we got our Punchy Pick of the Month winners here. You guys like that contest, and we've been having a lot of fun with it, and we've got our winners for you here today. We always do it the last feeder flash of the month. We've kind of been having fun with some of the kids. People like to send in pictures of the little kids, which is great. They're not really as punchy as what we're looking for, but we've been having fun with it anyway. And in the kids corral this month, we've got Jill Johnson's grandson Lex building fence with his grandpa there, and he's a pretty cool little kid right there, and I like that picture of him. Another kid's pick is Calvin Clements. It's sure rainy around their place there. He's moving cows and working yearlings with his dad, but he's going to be a punchy pick guy whenever he grows up, that's for sure. But get into the punchy picks for the month. Third place is Robert Frazetta, and this is entitled Thirsty Cats. And if you're not looking at your screen right, you may want to zoom in on that. Those aren't your normal house cats. They're drinking out of one of his horse tanks there. But that's for third place. Second place in the Punchy Pick of the Month contest is Ty Gordon from Luca, Illinois. The title of this one is He Came Home to This Mess. And the one thing he did want to make sure that is that black heifer was fine once he got her untangled from those panels and got her head free. He said she walked on off and went right back to grazing. But that's kind of a punchy mess that he came home to. But your Punchy Pick of the Punchy Pick of the Month, a winner this month is Scott Hawk. He sent a punchy pick of his friend Isaiah Ethington from Cortez, Colorado. Now, he had a buddy roll up on him early in the morning, and he was already out at the shipping there. Evidently, Isaiah had overslept, or maybe partied it up maybe the night before or something, and had missed a shipping or two. And he had decided he was not missing another shipping. So he decided just to go out the night before and set his bedroll up there next to his pickup and trailer so he'd be right there whenever they wanted him. But congratulations to Scott. He's going to get all the prizes. He's going to get the cool swag from Beaver Feed Company and Beaver County Stockyards. And the big prize is he'll get the whole case of Therapiece, that revolutionary topical product that you put on and calms those cattle down, takes their anxiety away. So congratulations to Scott Hawk. I hope I'm saying that right. It's H-A-U-C-K. But we'll get in touch with him and get his prizes on the way to him. Let's talk about your board for Thursday. October live cattle futures up 160 at 186.50. That's a high for that contract there. It's 186.5. We were down earlier this week, but of course it's the spot month there. It can't be quite as volatile, but jumping back up there $1.60. That is a life of contract high there for October live cattle. December up 2 1/4 at 190.42. That sounds pretty handsome out there. Your back month's up 135 to up 222. So what did that correction that they're calling it that happened there earlier in the week when everything fell out of bed? It was just kind of a recoil, I guess. We're going to be on highs, guys, and these prices are going to be very handsome for the next couple of years, probably 3 years. But there's going to be some dips and dives in there, and some of them are going to last more than 1 or 2 days. But we gained a lot back of what we lost earlier in the week on your cattle board. But September feeder cattle contracts up 80 cents at 250, 232. They're just trying to get in there and hook up with your CME cash feeder cattle index here at the end of the month. October feeder cattle contracts up 247 at 254.72. Now they were down as much as $5 there earlier in the week, but we gained a lot of that back, and it's just going to be a little bit volatile here. But 254.72 for your October close. Your back months were all up big, up 222 to up 287. New crop December corn was up 5 1/4 cents at 488.5 on Thursday. November new crop beans down 2 3/4 cents at $13.50 a bushel. Kansas City hard red winter wheat for December down another 9.5 cents at $6.85 a bushel. Now, I told you about that high on your October live cattle, 186.50. Now, likely it's going to fall back out of bed here within the next week or so, or else we're going to start seeing some tenders for delivery. They held steady money this past week on your fat cattle in the Southern Plains, but that was only 183. You dangle 186.50 at them. I've talked to a lot of guys that delivered a lot of cattle, and they said it roughly costs $1.50 to deliver as far as expenses and things like that. You offer that 186.5 to them. If they're going to threaten to tender delivery, or they are going to tender delivery as soon as they can, that is definitely going to scare off any longs that are left in that contract. And that's another reason why those things are such a mirage. Whenever you get close to them, you can't get your hands on them because they go away that fast. But fat cattle trade on Thursday, it was just some kind of cleanup trade. You remember we traded earlier in the week. We traded on Tuesday afternoon late for the most part, and I said that's the best way to keep from having to give more money for cattle for the 3rd week in a row in the Southern Plains is by offering steady money on a Tuesday. And of course, your cattle feeders, the sellers, the few sellers we have negotiated, they lapped it right up, that 183. Northern Plains were not as lucky. They were trying to squeeze more than 184 out of the market. Now they've lost their premium to the Southern Plains, except for $1. We did see a little bit of trade at 185 in Nebraska, but they kept a lid on the market in the Northern Plains, and in turn they haven't moved a lot of cattle in the Northern Plains. To get anywhere near a normal movement in the Northern Plains, we're going to have to see some significant trade here on Friday. But Iowa sold just 400 head on Thursday, 11,900 head for the week. They could easily trade another 10,000 and still be light. But live sales on Thursday, 184. Dress sales, and this is a Packer playbook deal. They didn't have any dress sales in Iowa, but what they did have was some delivered trade, some live delivered trade, which you don't normally see a lot, but they give 186 for some cattle delivered. Now we don't know how far the seller had to truck those cattle to get them to the plant, but that's another way they can give a little bit more for some cattle, and it won't affect their averages. It won't affect their formula sales there, because the delivered live price is not something that goes in there that establishes those base price levels. So that's a true Packer playbook. I'm going to tell you another one here that's even worse in a second. Nebraska sold 2,100 head on Thursday, just 22,300 head for the week. They could sell a few more there pretty easy. Live sales in Nebraska, 184 to 185 on Thursday. Dress sales, 290. And then they traded some cattle at 292 But on your dress sales, that's normally dress delivered. But they gave $292 for some cattle dressed FOB. So the packing plants have to go get those cattle and pay the freight on them, but they can give a little bit more for the cattle to get them, and it won't affect the averages. That's probably a first I've really seen that, but that goes right along with Packer Playbook. Do anything it takes to get the cattle. If you need to give a little more for them, just don't let it affect those base prices for all those formula cattle. Kansas, they sold less than 100 head on Thursday, 8,600 head for the week. 183 was the price. Texas, and 183 was the price in all the Southern Plains. Texas didn't trade a hoof on Thursday, 6,400 head, which is pretty decent movement really for them for the week so far. Don't know if we'll see any more cleanup trade on Friday, but it wouldn't surprise me if we did, and it'll be 183 if they do. Box beef cutout values were uneven. Choice was up a little, select was down, but we feel like maybe we have established some firm footing on your choice cuts. Choice boxes on Thursday afternoon were up 56 cents at 301.51. Select was down $1.07 at 277.44. Your slaughter pretty decent up through the first 4 days of the week. 505,000 head estimated to be harvested. That's 7,000 more than last week, 2,000 less than the same week a year ago. But we are expecting some plants to be closed here on Friday, and then hardly any slaughter at all on Saturday this week. But actual slaughter information come back for the week ending September the 16th, and those average dressed steer carcass weights up again. Went straight through that blistering heat and gained weight, and still gaining weight. 919 pounds for your average dressed steer carcass there. That is a 1,450 to 1,500 pound steer on the average. And it's 2 pounds bigger than the previous report. It's 1 pound heavier than the same report a year ago. And these weights aren't going to top out for another month or two, guys. So it's going to be interesting to see how heavy they can get these cattle as they entice cattle feeders to make them bigger to help them get through this tight supply problem. Let's talk about what else is going on. Actually, let's just go right to our real-time index. Talking about your feeder cattle price. Real-time index at the end of the day on Thursday sitting at 248.99. That was down a hundredweight, but still not too bad there. And right around 250 there for an 800 pound cash steer is still pretty good. As we start seeing more of these calves show up, it's gonna pull the price down on the yearlings too. It just always does. We had our first day on Thursday of broadcasting Woodward Livestock Auction, Woodward, Oklahoma. They had just over 2,000 head there. Market was mostly steady. Calves were a little bit higher. I checked right after they got started, and old buddy Sisto Morales, he was rolling right on and already getting bids online for cattle to start the sale. So it already paid off for them there at Woodward. If you're interested in broadcasting your sale barn, get a hold of us, guys. How about some of your big sales on Thursday at Farmers and Ranchers Livestock, Salina, Kansas, 2,800 head. Market was very uneven. If you don't believe me, check out the Federal State Market News Market Report. I could not make heads or tails out of it, but it is Kansas, and they have no training and no skills. But Farmers and Ranchers Livestock Salina did have a stick-out sale. It was on middleweight cattle. 54 steers weighed 670 at 280. How about Pratt, Kansas there? Winter Livestock and Pratt, 2,600 head for them. The steer calves and the middleweight steers were higher, but your heavier weight steers were some lower there, as I tried to decipher from that market report there. But they had a stick-out sale that was also on middleweight cattle. 59 steers weighed 779, bring 269. I thought that was a big price. Your National BeefWire stick-out sale of the day was Ogallala Livestock Auction in Ogallala, Nebraska. They had 4,100 head on Thursday. Steers were higher, heifers were lower. The run was mostly steers. They just didn't have as many big fancy strings of heifers as they did steers, and as a result, they didn't sell the heifers as high. But you look at this automated market report from Cattle Market Central out of Ogallala on Thursday. You look at your best tested weights, and it was bigger feeders for the most part. 326 head of 7-weight steers averaged 754 with a weighted average price of $259.72. 941 head of 8-weight steers averaged 859 at $252.84. 950 head, look at these numbers, 950 head of 9-weight steers in Ogallala. They averaged 934 at $245.49. Look at some heifers. How about 284 head of 6-weight heifers, averaged 660 pounds with a weighted average price of $253.43. 636 head of 8-weight heifers, averaged 841 at $240.40. I'll give you several individual quotes from all around that I thought were standouts. How about Norton, Kansas? Norton Livestock Market. They sold some Pee-wee heifer calves high. 59 heifer calves weighed 370, bring $3.20 a pound. Congratulations to them. How about Clarinda Livestock Auction in Clarinda, Iowa? Old friends there. 75 steers weighed 683. No, they were heifers, guys. 75 heifers weighed 683 and bring 268. How about Fairview, Illinois Sale Barn? Ray Poston sold his backgrounded steers there, and they always sell well. He had one load, 64 steers weighed 840 pounds, bring $2.60 a pound in Fairview, Illinois, guys. But the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere on Thursday, your Macrocin, no BS, top quote for the day, come out of Ogallala Livestock Auction, and they were NHTC steers. 156 head of non-implanted steers weighed 931 and bring 266. And that's your feeder flash for Friday.